Catalina and Craig Smoak.
And here we go. Cory Smith on Twitter. Cory Smith on Twitter. Cory Smith joins us. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports covers NC State. And a really interesting game, intriguing game with Texas Tech coming into town after their 2-0 start and winning in overtime, double overtime against Houston. So I saw one of the latest tweets you had from my guest earlier today. Look, man, you all wear whatever you want on Saturday. My apologies for trying to spread the word on what the players' athletics department have said all week. I've got work to do. So you have to deal with those questions sometimes too, huh?
Yes, I do. I appreciate you guys having me on, but yeah, it's supposed to be blackout week for the players, and I think a lot of people, they wanted to go with the blackout for the for uniforms and things like that. There's the people that push back against it. So I'm sure with the the red and black and the red and white for NC State, there's a lot of people that were like, let's not go with black because they're facing a Texas Tech team that regularly wears it.
So how much should we read into the East Carolina game about this team?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one just because it was week one. I mean, as you've seen, week one games when there's two teams that have a chance to prepare for each other for, months on end, and they're two teams that are very competitive. I mean, ECU has always been a really tough place for NC State to play, regardless of, the situation. And that was the first time they started week one on the road since 2017. So it had been quite a while for that. I think it was just a tough atmosphere. We'll really see what this team is capable of, and I'm sure really what Texas Tech is capable of this upcoming weekend, because these are two teams that are eager to prove that they're better than what they've shown so far. And with Texas Tech, obviously, proving that maybe just beating Houston, was they're still a better team than that too.
How is NC State health-wise going into this game?
I mean, that's a question mark as well, because as of right now, the two question marks really are Shaheem Battle and Peyton Wilson. Shaheem Battle at the cornerback position sat out last week, but everything that we heard was that he was still fully healthy, just getting some rest because he had an injury that he was able to return from against ECU. The other one was Peyton Wilson, who came into the year All-ACC preseason linebacker. He was looked at as the preseason player of the year potentially last year before an injury in week 2 sat out. There was a scare in week 1 against ECU. It sounds like, after sitting out this past week against Charleston Southern, he should be good to go. But those were really the only concerns going into this one. Offensively, NC State has everybody. And then defensively, like I said, those two guys would be potential question marks, but the way it sounds, they're healthy at both of those spots too.
Chris Levels, the sideline reporter for Texas Tech, and also has a site, RedRaidersports.com. And when I asked him earlier today, what is the strength of NC State, despite whatever happened with East Carolina, he said the strength of NC State is they have no weakness.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree there. I think, the only real weakness that you could see for this team is potentially the long passing game, and that's something that they're still working on. They lose the guy in Emeka Emezi from last year. They're trying to find that downfield presence, and they really haven't shown it yet. So I think that's something that they've been working on a lot this week to try to improve upon, find that guy that you can put the ball in his hands that they can create in space. So they're working on that this week. And then defensively, it hasn't been a question mark really at all under this, this current regime with Tony Gibson. Tackling has always been a strength, but, they had an issue with it week 1 against ECU. And, they kind of were able to show that they didn't have an issue with it against Charleston Southern. But now this is the week to really prove it, how much you've grown from that, because they didn't do a ton of tackling in fall camp just to avoid injuries. So now we'll see if they're really able to hold up against, a guy in Donovan Smith, a big body guy that, isn't going to go down easily.
Do you think this team is, there's a lot of buzz around them. Do you think that they are set up to compete for the ACC title?
Yeah, I really do. And I think a big reason for that is because of the fact that, like we were saying, that defense is veteran. 10 of 11 guys that were starters from last year are all back. They've got depth at basically every position. You got guys at the linebacker position that played, started 5+ games, and they're now backups. You've got guys at the cornerback position that are rotating in a guy named Aiden White that's rotating in. That's been really strong too. And then the safeties, you got an all ACC safety back, and you've got 3 guys in that rotation that you feel really good about. The question mark would be the offensive side of the football, because there's, young running backs, and then you've got wide receivers. Like I said, you're still trying to find that downfield presence, but you've got a reliable slot receiver in Thayer Thomas. Devin Carter's the guy that's able to catch the ball. It's a big receiver, 6'3". He's got, good physicality at the wide receiver position. Devin Leary is, the guy that was the ACC preseason player of the year. The big thing for this offense is they need him to play like that early on, to not get behind the 8 ball against Texas Tech like they did against ECU early on.
How much do you think home field matters in this game?
I think it's going to be really important. And the reason why is because Carter Finley on Saturday night, they've showed it several times on Thursday night football games, on Saturday night football games. It's a different atmosphere, and they won all of their home games last year. I believe right now, I don't know where things currently stand. Going into the year, they had the 5th longest streak of consecutive home wins. It's at 11 right now, and I think Clemson is far and away has the longest with 36. But right now, NC State hasn't lost a home game since the 2020 season.
Thank you very much, Cory. Appreciate your time. Should be very interesting. More evidence. NC State inside the top 20, and Texas Tech might be around that part if they do win in Raleigh. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Our Cory Smith, NC State, covers the Wolfpack, and Devin Leary is a pretty good quarterback. By the way, he's the editor at Pack Pride from 247 Sports.
Yeah, Devin Leary is a good